All right, here's some other big numbers for you. Idaho hospitals, they've been under crisis standards of care for nearly 3 weeks, all because of the overwhelming influx of those COVID patients during this surge and the overtime, the work required of doctors and nurses to keep up. About a week into this crisis conditions, we heard from Dr. Jim Souza, the chief physician executive at St. Luke's, about how we hadn't come close to reaching a peak in terms of COVID cases and hospitalizations. And he told us how that would translate across the population.
You guys, even if the numbers stay flat on the rate of rise that we're seeing in the state, 9,000 of our fellow Idahoans are going to acquire the infection this week. Out of those 9,000 people, with those generous assumptions, we might actually expect that 3,000 of them are vaccinated. We would predict out of those 3,000 people that 15 of them will need one of our hospital beds, and 3 of them would need an ICU bed. And sadly, 1 of them might die. In the 6,000 unvaccinated patients, we can expect 300 of those people to need our help in a hospital. And we can expect 60 of them to need our help in an intensive care unit. And sadly, we can expect 24 of them to die.
That was back on September 16th when Dr. Souza told us that 12 days ago. Since then, we've seen the numbers reach levels they haven't reached ever. Over the weekend, we got this text message. How about a follow-up on the good doctor's predictions about the numbers for a week in advance? Good idea from an anonymous viewer. So how close was Dr. Souza to his prediction? Unfortunately, very close on one and not close at all on another. We looked at the next 7 calendar days from that day. That would be Thursday, September 16th through Wednesday, September 22nd. Dr. Souza, pretty spot on when he came to cases. We were just shy of his prediction with about 8,434 cases of COVID across the state. But in his model, he believed of those 9,000, we would see 25 deaths from the coronavirus, 24 unvaccinated, 1 maybe vaccinated. Well, during those 7 days, Idaho reported 127 COVID-related deaths, way off the mark by a lot. We don't know the breakdown of how many of those were vaccinated or unvaccinated, but based on information and what we've heard from healthcare workers, it'd be a vast majority that were unvaccinated. And what we can tell you, since May 15th, the day that everyone in Idaho over the age of 12 became eligible to get the vaccine, there's been 719 COVID deaths reported across the state. And according to the state's website, 72 of those were vaccinated, or about 10%. 90% of them, or 647, were unvaccinated.